Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at something that's pretty fascinating to me, at least, and that's
Oh yeah.
this kind of intersection of agriculture and really high-tech stuff like artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
We're talking about hyperspectral imaging and deep learning.
Really exciting stuff.
And all the cool things it can do for farmers.
Absolutely. And to sort of ground us a little bit, we're working from a 2024 research review. The title is a bit of a mouthful.
Okay.
Deep Learning Techniques for Hyperspectral Image Analysis in Agriculture.
Got it.
And it was published in the ISPRS Open Journal of Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing.
Catchy title.
Yeah.
But I think the core idea here is a lot simpler than all that, right?
Yeah.
It's basically like giving farmers superhuman vision to see things about their crops that are totally invisible to the naked eye.
Yeah, it really is like giving them a superpower to understand what's going on.
Yeah, and what I find so interesting is how they're pairing this hyperspectral imaging, or HSI, with deep learning, which is, a form of AI, to analyze all that data.
Absolutely, because you can imagine the amount of data that's generated is just phenomenal.
Right.
And you need some pretty powerful tools to make sense of it all.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you have this incredible camera that can see all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And then you need this, super computer brain to actually interpret it and figure out what it all means.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Okay, so I'm definitely hooked already.
Good.
But let's back up a little bit and start with the real basic question.
Sure.
What is hyperspectral imaging?
So think about a regular camera, right?
Yeah.
The kind you have on your phone.
Okay.
It captures light in 3 primary colors.
Okay.
Red, green, and blue.
Right, RGB.
Exactly. HSI, on the other hand, captures light across hundreds of narrow wavelengths.
Wow.
From the visible light that we see, all the way out to infrared.
So it's like having a camera with, hundreds of different color filters, each revealing a different aspect of what you're looking at.
That's a great way to think about it. And what's fascinating is that different materials, whether we're talking about a healthy leaf or a stressed plant or a certain type of soil, they all reflect and absorb light differently across these different wavelengths.
Oh.
And that creates a unique spectral signature for each material.
Okay.
It's like a fingerprint.
So it's not just seeing the color, it's like seeing the composition of the thing itself.
Exactly. You're not just seeing the plant, you're seeing what it's made of.
Wow, okay, that's pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
But how does this actually help farmers? I mean, what can they actually do with this information?
Well, the applications are really diverse.
Okay.
Let's imagine for a second a farmer wants to see if there's a nutrient deficiency in their crops before any visible signs even show up.
Okay.
They can do that with HSI.
Really?
It's like having an X-ray vision for plants.
So they could take action early on before it becomes a big problem.
Precisely.
Potentially saving their entire crop.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. What else can they do with this technology?
Disease detection is another huge area.
Right.
You can use HSI to identify those very early stages of a disease outbreak and intervene before it spreads throughout the entire field.
So it's like an early warning system for plant diseases.
Exactly. And it can help reduce the need for those widespread pesticide applications.
Yeah, that's good for everybody, right? Less pesticides, the better.
Absolutely. It's better for the environment. It's better for the consumer.
So we're talking about healthier crops, healthier environment, healthier food.
It's a win-win situation.
I like it. Okay, so beyond, disease and nutrients, what else can HSI do?
Oh, there's so much more.
Okay.
You can analyze soil properties, figure out the best time to plant your crops, monitor how effectively your irrigation system is working, even predict crop yields.
Wow, so it's like having a whole new toolkit for understanding and managing your crops.
Exactly, and that's where the real power of HSI comes in.
Okay, so I'm definitely sold on the HSI part.
Good.
But where does the deep learning come into all of this?
Right.
You mentioned it earlier, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how it actually fits into the picture.
Well, as you can imagine, HSI generates a tremendous amount of data, images, with hundreds of layers of spectral information.
Okay, so it's like, you have a high-definition picture.
Yeah.
But instead of just one layer of color information, you've got hundreds of layers.
Exactly, and that's where deep learning comes in.
Okay.
It's a form of AI that's really good at making sense of complex data and finding patterns.
So it's like having this team of super sleuths combing through all that data, looking for clues about how healthy the crops are.
Exactly, and they can do it with incredible speed and accuracy far beyond what humans are capable of.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
But what kind of deep learning techniques are we talking about here?
Yeah.
I imagine there's not just, one type of deep learning.
You're right. There's a whole toolbox of different approaches.
Okay.
One technique that's commonly used is called Convolutional Neural Networks, or CNNs for short.
CNNs, yeah, I think I've heard of those.
Yeah, they're really good at extracting spatial features from images.
Right, like edges and shapes and textures and things like that.
Exactly. And in the world of HSI, they can be used to identify patterns related to things like crop health, soil properties, even the presence of pests or diseases.
So they're like the pattern recognition experts.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
But CNNs are just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
There are other techniques like stacked autoencoders or SAEs.
Okay.
And these are used to condense that massive amount of HSI data into something more manageable.
So it's like compressing a file on your computer to make it easier to work with.
That's a good analogy.
But you don't lose any of the important information in the process.
Right. SAEs are really good at figuring out what's important and discarding what's not.
Okay, so we have CNNs for pattern recognition and SAEs for data compression. What other kind of deep learning techniques are being used in this field?
Well, there are quite a few.
Okay.
Another interesting one is called deep belief networks, or DBNs.
Okay.
And these are particularly useful when you don't have a lot of labeled examples to train your models.
So it's like they can solve the mystery even with limited evidence?
That's a great way to think about
it.
Yeah. And then there are recurrent neural networks, or RNNs.
RNNs, okay.
And these are designed for analyzing data that changes over time.
So instead of just looking at a snapshot, you're looking at a whole movie.
Exactly. You can track how things evolve over time.
Like watching a crop grow.
Or seeing how a disease spreads.
Right. Okay, so we've got all these different deep learning techniques, each with its own strengths. And they can all be combined to create this really powerful system for analyzing HSI data.
It's a really exciting area of research, and we're only just starting to see what's possible.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
Me too.
But I think we should probably pause here for a second. Let everyone catch their breath.
Yeah, good idea.
We'll be back in just a few to continue our exploration of HSI and deep learning in agriculture.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've talked about the HSI and deep learning, but what about the so what? Like, how is this stuff actually making a difference out in the fields?
That's the exciting part, right?
Yeah.
Seeing this technology actually being put to work.
Exactly. So give me the highlights. What kind of impact are we talking about here?
Well, let's start with something every farmer has to deal with: soil.
Okay.
HSI can analyze soil properties in such incredible detail, revealing moisture levels, nutrient content, even things like microplastics.
Wow. So instead of, doing those traditional soil tests, which can be, pretty time consuming and expensive, farmers can get this much more comprehensive and rapid assessment using HSI.
Exactly. And that allows for, more targeted management practices.
Okay, give me an example. Like, how would this actually work in practice?
Okay, so imagine a farmer is trying to figure out where in their field they have nitrogen deficiencies.
Okay.
With HSI, they can pinpoint those areas and apply fertilizer only where it's needed.
Wow. So they're saving money and minimizing environmental impact.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I like it. Okay, so soil health, that's one big area.
Yeah.
What about crop diseases?
Yeah, that's another really promising area.
Okay.
The paper highlights a study where researchers used HSI and deep learning to detect potato late blight.
Potato late blight. That sounds pretty serious.
It's a devastating disease that can wipe out entire crops.
Oh.
And what's remarkable is they were able to identify it in the very early stages before any visible symptoms even appeared.
So it's like having an early warning system for plant diseases.
And it gives farmers time to take action before it's too late.
So they could, apply targeted treatments just to the affected areas.
Exactly, rather than spraying the whole field with pesticides.
Right, which again is better for the environment.
And better for the consumer.
This is amazing. I mean, it really sounds like this technology has the potential to revolutionize agriculture.
I think so too.
Are there any other examples of, this early detection of problems using HSI?
Oh yeah, there's another study that looked at predicting corn seed vitality.
Corn seed vitality, okay.
So by analyzing the spectral signature of individual seeds, they could figure out which ones were unlikely to germinate.
Wow, so instead of planting seeds that might not even sprout, farmers can use this information to select only the most viable seeds.
Exactly.
Okay, and what does that lead to?
Well, better germination rates and ultimately higher yields.
Wow, so we're talking about, increasing efficiency and productivity.
Absolutely.
Just by using this technology to make smarter decisions.
Right. It's about having more information on your fingertips so you can make the best choices.
Okay, so we've talked about soil health. We've talked about disease detection.
Yeah.
What about the actual quality of the crops themselves?
Yeah, well, HSI can also be used to assess the nutrient content of crops. Okay.
So farmers can make better decisions about when to harvest, to optimize, the quality and the nutritional value.
So it's not just about how much food you're producing.
Right.
It's also about how good that food is.
Exactly. We're talking about tastier and healthier produce.
Okay, now this is really starting to get me excited.
Good.
But it's not just about maximizing yields and profits, right?
Yeah.
I mean, HSI can also be used to improve food safety.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that.
Well, the paper talks about how HSI can be used to detect contaminants in food products.
Okay.
Things like foreign materials or bacteria.
So you're ensuring that the food we eat is safe and of high quality.
Exactly.
Wow. So we're talking about, from the soil to the seed to the final product.
Right.
HSI and deep learning are having this major impact on the entire agricultural chain.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Okay, so it sounds like this technology has a lot of potential.
It does.
But I'm curious, how is this being received by the agricultural community?
Are farmers actually embracing these advancements?
Well, it's a mix, as with any new technology.
Correct.
Some farmers are, really excited about the possibilities.
Yeah.
They see this as a way to, improve their operations and stay ahead of the curve.
Right.
Others are a little more cautious.
Yeah.
Maybe they're waiting to see more real-world results or concerned about the cost of implementation.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a big investment.
It is.
And farmers need to be sure that the benefits outweigh the costs.
Right.
But from what we've talked about so far,
yeah,
it seems like the potential is enormous.
I think so too. And as the technology continues to advance and become more affordable, we'll see more and more farmers adopting it.
Okay, so speaking of advancements,
what
does the research say about the future of HSI and deep learning?
Well, one area that's really exciting is the development of even more efficient and robust deep learning models. So, researchers are constantly working to improve the accuracy and the speed of these algorithms.
So we can expect to see even more sophisticated analysis and insights in the future.
Exactly.
As the deep learning part of this technology continues to evolve.
Right. And another exciting area is the creation of larger and more diverse hyperspectral data sets.
Data sets.
Yeah, these data sets are essential for training the deep learning models.
Okay.
And the more data we have, the better the models will become.
So it's like, giving those deep learning detectives a bigger library to learn from.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay, so we've got, the software side, the deep learning side. What about the hardware side?
Yeah.
Are there any advancements happening with the HSI sensors themselves?
Absolutely. Researchers are constantly working to improve the resolution and the sensitivity and even the portability of these sensors.
So, imagine like handheld devices that can capture and analyze HSI data in real time.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Wow, that would be incredible.
It would.
I mean, we've come a long way from, those manual soil tests and just visually inspecting crops.
Right. It's a whole new world.
It really is. It sounds like the future of agriculture is getting a serious high-tech upgrade.
It is, and one of the things that I find most exciting about this field is its potential to address some of the biggest challenges we're facing.
Okay, like what kind of challenges?
Well, things like food security and environmental sustainability.
Right. I mean, we often hear about, the negative impacts of agriculture on the environment.
Yeah.
But this technology seems to offer a way to make food production more sustainable and more efficient.
Exactly. By using HSI and deep learning, we can optimize resource use, reduce pesticide application, and improve crop yields.
So we can produce more food with less environmental impact.
That's the goal.
That's a really powerful message, especially, in a world that's facing, growing concerns about climate change and resource scarcity.
Absolutely. It's about finding solutions that benefit both people and the planet.
I like it. And it's not just about the big picture, right?
No.
I mean, HSI and deep learning also have the potential to really empower individual farmers.
Right.
To give them the tools they need to, make better decisions and improve their livelihoods.
Absolutely. It's about putting the power of information in the hands of those who need it most.
This has been an incredible conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling really optimistic about the future of agriculture.
Me too.
But before we wrap things up,
Sure.
I want to bring us back to the research review.
Okay.
The authors highlighted some challenges and future directions for HSI and deep learning.
Right.
What were some of the key takeaways there?
Well, one of the big ones is the need for larger and more diverse data sets to train the deep learning models.
So it's not just about, developing the technology itself.
Right.
It's also about, creating the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And the partnerships to really make the most of it.
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
Well, another challenge is the cost of implementing these HSI systems, which can be prohibitive for smaller farms.
Yeah.
But as the technology continues to advance, we can expect to see those costs come down.
Oh, okay. That's good news.
Yeah, it's about making this technology more accessible to everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, what other challenges did they highlight?
Well, there's also the need to develop, more robust and user-friendly deep learning models.
Okay.
So that people who don't have a lot of technical expertise can still use them.
Right, so making the technology more intuitive for the end user.
That's key for widespread adoption.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, the paper also emphasized the importance of considering the ethical and societal implications of this technology.
That's a really important point. I mean, with any powerful new technology, we need to be thinking about the potential unintended consequences.
Absolutely.
And making sure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
It's a conversation that needs to happen alongside the technological development.
Absolutely. Okay, so this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Good.
I'm feeling excited, but also, cautiously optimistic about the future of agriculture.
I enjoy it.
It's clear that HSI and deep learning have this incredible potential to really revolutionize the way we produce food.
Right.
But we also need to be, thoughtful and consider the broader implications.
I agree.
Okay, well, before we wrap things up,
sure,
I want to shift gears just slightly.
Okay.
And think about, what all of this means for the average consumer.
Okay.
How might these advancements in HSI and deep learning actually affect the food we eat and the choices we make at the grocery store?
I think for the average consumer, you'll see the impacts in a few key ways.
Okay.
And one of the most noticeable, I think, will be higher quality produce at the grocery store.
Higher quality? How so?
Well, think about things like nutritional value, the taste, even just the appearance. Because farmers will have so much more information about the optimal conditions for their crops.
Right.
They'll be able to fine-tune their practices to produce fruits and vegetables that are just better all around.
So tastier and healthier food.
Exactly.
Sign me up for that. What else might we see?
I think we'll also see an increase in transparency in the food supply chain.
Okay.
HSI can be used to track food products literally from farm to table.
Wow.
Giving consumers more information about where their food came from, how it was produced.
It's like a digital fingerprint for our food.
Exactly. And it could really help build trust in the food system.
Yeah, I could see that.
And as this technology becomes more widespread, I think we could even see labels on our food that display, detailed information about the nutritional content, the origin, even sustainability metrics.
That would be amazing.
It would really empower consumers to make more informed choices.
Right, and potentially drive demand for more sustainable and ethical practices.
Exactly. It's about creating a more connected and informed food system.
I love it. I have to say, this deep dive has really changed my perspective on agriculture.
Yeah.
I used to think of it as, kind of a traditional field, but it's clear that technology is playing a bigger and bigger role.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really exciting time to be involved in agriculture.
So much potential.
Yeah, and I think the combination of HSI, deep learning, all these other cutting-edge technologies is really paving the way for a more sustainable, efficient, and equitable food system.
And that's something we can all get behind.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your expertise.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the world of hyperspectral imaging and deep learning in agriculture.
I agree.
And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this journey into the cutting edge of agriculture. And if you're hungry for more deep dives into fascinating topics, be sure to subscribe to our show and join us again soon. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those appetites for knowledge satisfied.